It is Abdullah Ibn Abdul Aziz, Mr. Vajpayee. It's quite concerning and ironic that you work with China, who puppeted the free nation of Taiwan against
If
their
you
will.
are aware of that situation, it was done democratically, which can't be said for Yemen.
You do realize that with forming an alliance with China, you are threatening the MAD and the nuclear balance in the region, right?
We have formed a mutual defense pact with the other BRICS members in accordance with all of the extreme political maneuverings we've seen throughout the world, but especially from your warmonger alliance.
Warmonger alliance.
Yep, there's something more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you are provocating our whole alliance with your Kashmir exercises.
We have allowed Chinese troops into Kashmir in order to protect the lines of control and to do practice exercises. This is in the event that the warmonger alliance in the Middle East takes again aggressive action against India, has been done time and time again. We want to make sure that the Chinese and our soldiers are able to cooperate defensively in the event of this action, and it is done for no other reason. Obviously, they don't know the Kashmir region very well, and if we need to protect it against invasion, we want them to be able to know how to do that very well, of course.
Mr. Vajpayee, I make you again aware that you are threatening the whole nuclear balance in our region.
I would disagree, seeing as Iran and Saudi Arabia both getting nuclear weapons would have done the exact same, and I frankly find that to be unsubstantiated, given the fact that your own alliance has acquired nuclear war weapons. Well, am I incorrect in assuming that Saudi and Iran now both have nuclear weapons?
That is information that I'm not willing to give out.
Regardless, tell me how we are the ones changing the nuclear balance when you are the ones allowing new nations to get access to nuclear warheads.
Because China has a more substantial arsenal than you and any other nations that will be acquiring nuclear weapons. This will have repercussions, Mr. Vajpayee. The first repercussion is that Pakistan now sets its nuclear forces on high alert all the time. All the time.
We are continuing our Millennium Dawn game. This is the third session as India. We are playing Hindu nationalists, BJP India. This is the third session. Tensions are very high with Pakistan. They have been making nuclear threats all week long in the VCs. We are somewhat allied now with China as the BRIC system has centralized, or the BRICS now, because South Korea entered, not South Africa, but South Korea. So we have a bit of a military and economic alliance. So we're in more or less very good shape. We've dramatically developed our economy, we've overhauled our military, and it does look a little dangerous in regards to Pakistan as they are warmongering. They have gone so far that Iran and Saudi Arabia have actually destroyed their alliance and their pact, and Pakistan now stands alone. So we're in a very hostile situation. Pakistan has gone very radical. They've been, again, they've just been making nuclear tests nonstop. Pakistan is more or less just a bad actor. We can't make any deals that will last, and we just have to assume that they're always hostile, which is why we have to reallocate resources from economic expansion to developing the military and to developing nuclear warheads, which is unfortunate, but has been necessary, frankly. So we are in a very heavy Cold War with Pakistan as normal, and it has gotten worse and worse. So, Taz, Prime Minister Vajpayee. Hello, gentlemen. I believe there are quite a few things for us to discuss today. There is another member who is interested in the stead of Japan, which is, of course, Indonesia, who India has developed very close economic relations with, as well as many other of the BRICS members, I believe.
Indeed.
They have formally requested to have us sponsor them for membership into the BRICS agreement, which we are happy to do so. In that case, I suggest a roll call vote at this point for Indonesia. Is anyone opposed? Very well. By unanimous agreement, Indonesia will be inducted into the BRICS system, meaning we will need a new name. I would like to discuss a more pressing issue, which is the Pakistani crisis. India is asking for public condonement of their actions, their nuclear tests, and their posturing on the border. Our nation obviously does not seek a nuclear war, and one with India would devastate our own country and economy as well as that of China, which would permanently hamper the economic and political power of the BRICS system. So I would hope that the nations gathered here today would be willing to support India in putting diplomatic pressure on Islamabad to ensure that we do not see a hot war here, which would be disastrous for not only India, the BRICS, but the world itself.
You have, as you've seen, you have China's support.
As a final matter, can I ask for confirmation with the Chinese government on the situation within Korea? Obviously, tensions seem to be escalating between the north and the south, and obviously China is heavily entangled within the region. I hope this is not going to spark an unnecessary conflict. I hope the Chinese
As long as the South Koreans do not spark any issues, we will always honor our guarantee of the safeguard of the North Korean people, as they are an
South Korea
independent and sovereign
would
nation.
like to say, we have been actively taking steps to secure a peace deal with the North. We're not escalating tensions, we're de-escalating tensions.
Good. We see South Korea attack the North, China will intervene on North Korea's side. This has always been agreed upon since the Cold War.
I don't think.
South
Then
Korea
let's
will
not
have
escalate the
high
issue.
ground.
It's a simple way to deal with this.
You realize you agreed to BRICS, and South Korea is a member of BRICS, and North Korea is not.
You have more of a commitment to South Korea than you do North Korea, Chairman. You understood that when you accepted them in.
So you're looking.
I'm not looking for hostilities. I will defend people, I guarantee. We are willing to aid them if they get attacked.
You have signed a mutual
The only
defense pact.
Indeed.
I have seen in this channel, or in this group of BRICS, has been from China.
I have to say, this is really worrying to hear. Let me ask you definitively, Chairman, if South Korea is attacked by North Korea, what will you do?
We would most likely.
That's not good enough.
Not support them.
We don't deal with partial statements here in India. We give full statements so we back up our actions, and we wish to see our allies do the same. Let me ask you again, Chairman, if South Korea is attacked by North Korea, what will you do? And I want a concrete answer, or India will have to reconsider this whole situation.
We will do nothing. However, if South Korea attacked North Korea, then we would do something.
Then you have totally made this BRICS irrelevant.
I also have begun continued expansion on dockyards in our western coastal regions, so we can begin to quickly expand our navy, which will do much for cementing our military and economic power within Asia.
Agreed. And we can use those beautiful new ships for propaganda films.
That is certainly true. We can even rent them out to Bollywood if, if we need to. This is a direct communication line, I believe, for the Pakistanis. So we're picking up the red phone right now. What can I do for you, Mr. Musharraf?
I have been informed that Indonesian troops have entered Kashmir, and the Pakistani government is heavily protesting against this.
You are misinformed. There are currently no Indonesian troops in Kashmir. There are currently
intel.
Your intel is wrong. Indonesia is currently sending troops to the the game's not letting me click the region. The Rajasthan region in the desert to do training exercises with Indian forces. As in the event of a Pakistani invasion, as you well know, the BRICS Mutual Defense Pact would make it so Indonesia and China would support us in that event. As such, the troops wish to know a little bit of Indian and train with our soldiers so we can react in a more consistent manner in the event of total war with Pakistan. Again, this is yet another simply training exercise, and we are always committed to peace and do not seek to have a concrete hot war of your country, as you well know.
This exercise is seen as an aggressive action by Pakistan. We will not support this action.
I am aware that anything you don't like as an aggressive action, but Mr. Musharraf, this is nothing more than a training exercise. You well know that.
Yes.
I know that your people tend to overreact to these situations, but I would ask that you take a breath and look at it for what it is, which is, again, simply a training exercise. We are only ever fighting defensive wars, as you well know. So as long as your country is not taking illegitimate, illegal military action over the lines of control against our country and our allies, there is nothing to fear here.
Mr. Vajpayee, however you consider this, Pakistan will react to this, and we will announce direct counter military exercises in the region.
Obviously, both we and Pakistan are nuclear nations, which is why border conflicts and wars between our two countries in the past have never resulted really in anything more than a border skirmish, because total war would result in only one thing, which in the past has stopped absolute war. But the leadership in Pakistan has gotten much more extreme recently. We have put in a lot of work currently to working on getting rid of the corruption that has just been rampant in many regions in India, by centralizing control under the BJP party and ensuring many of the governors and regional leadership is under our party control. We have exercised executive action within the party to ensure that we start to push out corruption. It's not an easy process. As anyone who has been in India knows, corruption is very widespread culturally within the country. So this is not something I expect to transform overnight. However, we have begun to take steps to do so, which is absolutely momentous. We have just received some very disturbing news regarding Pakistan. We wish to know why they have been given observer status in the SCO. No. This is regarding their observer status in the SCO, a group chaired primarily by China and Russia, two nations we saw as our allies.
You're also welcome to join. We are attempting to...
We are already a member of the SCO. Chairman, why are you allowing a hostile actor who has perpetrated acts of violence against my country and continues to do nuclear tests regarding our border crisis into the SCO?
We have signed an agreement promising them that if they do any more nuclear testing, then we will kick them out.
Even observer status is severely dangerous, and if you allow it to continue, we will be forced to leave the SCO and reconsider our relationship with China as a whole.
Very well.
We will not be giving them membership then.
We are going to do major investments into Southeast Asia to continue to cement our economic power and our ties with all these countries. Gentlemen, we are gathered here today for an initiative India wishes to begin, known as the Iron Containment Program. We have all seen firsthand the danger Pakistan represents to both the Middle East, the Indian subcontinent, and Asia herself. India in the past has always expressed a desire to cooperate with Pakistan and has never taken hostile action. However, the same cannot be said. Given recent posturing, nuclear tests, and threats towards Afghanistan, a nation that in the past Pakistan has worked with, has continued to make India grow more and more wary of Pakistan and this dangerous regime in Islamabad. We are proposing a program which will be known as the Iron Containment, wherein all nations bordering Pakistan, China, Afghanistan, Iran, and the Arab Federation will completely isolate their nation, diplomatically and economically, until such time as they show a willingness to demilitarize the border regions, no longer take aggressive actions on the line of control, and to ensure that their nation take on an economic focus rather than a military one, as all of Asia is seeking to develop themselves. We've already supplanted the West economically, but with such dangerous elements as Pakistan making such measures, this will be almost impossible. So this is what we are proposing.
I ask for more information. What Pakistan
Specifically, what we are proposing is a completely cutting off of diplomatic relations with Islamabad diplomatically, and no economic ties, deals, or trading allowed between your own countries and Pakistan, nor any trade in transit through your nations on behalf of any nation seeking to trade with Pakistan. They will be cut off in everywhere except from the seas, which I suppose they will have some minor trade. But if we can impact them diplomatically and economically, I hope that we will see in Islamabad a desire to at least begin discussions and to demilitarize and to look towards an economic future. That is what we're proposing. Does that answer your question, King Saud? Let me discuss what outcome we are looking for here. By implementing the Iron Containment policy, we will set specific conditions that will allow us to break this off completely. If Pakistan demilitarizes their borders, which we are happy to do so as well, and if they commit themselves to stop making nuclear tests and posturing and expanding their nuclear arsenal, the Iron Containment Program will be dissolved. But until that time, it will be maintained to incentivize Pakistan to take more useful action internally and externally.
As Iran, I completely agree with India on this matter. However, I have one question, and it is, what is the condition when this Iron Containment, or how is it called?
When Pakistan makes treaties with all their neighbors to demilitarize their borders, including us, when they stop expanding their nuclear arsenal, and when they agree to stop making nuclear tests as show of forces against their neighbors and bullying their neighbors. When those conditions are met, the Iron Containment will be dissolved.
Iran agrees with these conditions.
I would like to formally request why the new regime in China is completely against the Iron Containment Program.
Because isolating a nation such as Pakistan forces them to be feeling like they are boxed in, and when nations get boxed in, they tend to lash out. like how North Korea.
There
lashes
is a
out.
very simple process for them getting out of this situation. It's a reasonable one, which is a demilitarization. That's all we're asking for, and we're
It's
happy to
something that
respond.
it is not real. It is not
Of
realistic,
which
and
we have
therefore
already
we
made our
Why?
case. We will not be supporting the proposal. We've already
Yes,
made
we
our
will.
case.
Might
We
I
don't.
also ask, isn't BRICS here meant to support nations that have been cast away by the West? Meaning it would be ironic for us to cast away a nation.
Ironic to cast away a nation that has repeatedly declared war on a member of BRICS and repeatedly makes nuclear.
Declared war. They have not declared any war.
They've shot down planes of India.
They declared a war
Act-
several years ago. They declared a war in '99. They have fought several wars with us recently. I am beginning to really be concerned by the lack of support we are receiving by China, who we thought would be cooperating with us in the BRICS agreement. This is a permanent change of foreign policy between Beijing and Delhi. I hope you know what you're doing here.
Yes, we do.
And as may I remind you, the economic power of Asia is no longer in the hands of. Wow.
You do not scare
Hold
us.
You
on,
you kicked out our troops out.
Hold on.
Wait, who did that? That wasn't me.
You don't have control of your own government.
No, I'm
Let's be
asking
lying.
who
You need
did
to
that. I'm
get your own
asking
house
who
under
did
control
that.
before you start pushing against others.
Okay, I'm back.
Who
What
did
happened?
that? I'm asking. Speak up now because you just did it without my consent.
happened?
What
Please,
happened?
state.
What
I don't
happened?
even know what happened.
Chairman Zeli, you need to get your people under control. I would like to say that there was a lot of support shown for Russia in regards to the Donbass region and Ukraine's issues. There was complete support behind them. But I see no similar cohesive support for India, despite the fact that Pakistan has repeatedly taken much more aggressive action against us than compared to the Ukrainian situation. So I am formally asking China, why is there a difference here?
Because you claim that China no longer has economic prowess in Asia. We see that as a threat.
That is China. I have to remind you, first of all, what you're referring to is the situation with Korea. South Korea is a member. That is why that situation is unique in itself. You are defending another BRICS member. Pakistan is not a BRICS member. Ukraine and what they're doing to the people in Donbass is not a BRICS member. They are attacking a BRICS member. Pakistan has been attacking a BRICS member. That is where the situation is.
I have made.
You are acting as if Pakistan is of equal importance to you than India. And to us, that makes us entirely question, yet again, your membership in the BRICS agreement.
We would like to see Pakistan work closely with BRICS. We would like to see them as a more peaceful resolution into the future. However, if you keep dividing us, it's never going to happen. It starts with us and it spreads to the world. It is not fighting within ourselves and then whoever we can pick in within the world.
You may have gotten agreements from the old chairman, but a different chairman has.
So you're
not
taking a
arranged.
hostile. So I'm
Are
warning
you using this
Not
as
only-
a political move to be able to centralize your power in Beijing? Because Mr. Zeli, if you will use your foreign allies as political tools for your own internal politics, I don't know what to say. This is
I will
not
tell you
a circumstance you want to use for your own internal party advantage, Chairman.
I will warn you, China, that you may be standing against not only BRICS but the entire world if you continue down this path.
The entire world does not follow India.
I'm not saying that they're following India.
We just offer to the world a equitable and fair economic agreement.
If you are feeling threatened by our economic power, do not let it turn into rash and dangerous foreign policy choices. Very well. I think the intentions of China are now very clear. The UN calls upon the speaker from Russia.
Greeting delegates to the United Nations. Russia has recently uncovered disturbing reports of Ukraine displacing, suppressing, and committing cultural and ethnic genocide against the Russian population in the eastern Ukraine, particularly the Donbass. They do this through state-funded police, armed militias, and just general terroristic laws, including covering Russians in green paint, calling them orcs, goblins, funding extremist legions such as the Azov battalions in attacking Russians, confiscating their property, and dispersing them across Ukraine. We believe they are doing this because they fear of losing the referendums that were promised within the Donbass, Luhansk, and Donetsk region, like they did in the Crimean referendum. We believe this is a petty way of them to ensure that they win these referendums, as they do not want to lose any more territory through any democratic means. As they believe the Crimean fair election that was conducted there was a shock to them. We have gotten support of BRICS and many other nations in the West for this military operation, and we respectfully ask that the world put their faith in Russia to peacefully, if possible, resolve this issue. The Ukrainians responsible will answer for their crimes against the Russian minorities, and we hope that we will uncover the full extent of the damage done within the Russians in Ukraine, as such actions have not been seen since World War II. Thank you.
Thank you. The UN calls upon the speaker from Saudi Arabia.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I, as Caliph of Islam and King of the soon-to-be United Arabia, announce that the Arab Federation has had its first elections. The Ba'ath Party was elected, but this does not change the fact that I am the King of Arabia and Caliph of Islam, so just for your information. I also announce that the following nations have joined our great and big United Arabia: the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and Yemen. The government of Oman has rejected a referendum to the people. They do not care what the people think, and we will free our Arab people from the chains of this oppression. At this point, I would like to congratulate Mr. Vajpayee from India for improving our relationships. The new Arabia is a serious and worthwhile partner for several nations, and we will continue our diplomatic journey towards prosperity and the golden Islamic and Arab age. Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you. The UN calls upon the speaker from China.
Greetings, one and all. As you may, China wishes to officially announce that it plans to change the status of Hong Kong and officially grant Hong Kong its statement. We will also be doing the same with Taiwan. For too long have we delayed the unification of the Chinese people, and by one way or another China will unite its special autonomous regions. That is all.
And lastly, the UN acknowledges the speaker from India. First off, I would like to congratulate the United Kingdom on receiving the Nobel Peace Prize for their actions in ensuring no war between Pakistan and Afghanistan. India, as many of you know, is now the world's greatest economic power, as through our fierce national determination and desire to build our nation up to what it can be, have surpassed all nations, including those neighbors and those far away in the American continent. With our newfound economic power and status, we have a responsibility to ensure that the world is allowed to develop in an equitable manner, something that we know has not happened for much of history, including in India under the British. We also formally are requesting a seat on the UN Security Council, as we feel that our economic, political, and military status does require that. In addition, India does announce her Iron Containment Program, which is an economic and political deal to ensure that Pakistan is not allowed to continue to develop itself until they have sought to demilitarize their borders and their nation. India is committed to peace, as we have always been, and our actions will match our words. Thank you. Massive surplus of budget in the Indian government. We have formally instituted universal healthcare, as our development and economic riches allow for it. As again, in the early days, the BJP party did have much influence from the socialistic movement, and although we have changed much since those days, I think that it is good to maintain a quality of healthcare for our people that will allow to maintain our economic expansion. Very well. Let's go down this road then.
How would you like us to?
Could you announce that we are formally embargoing China, considering their recent actions? They wanna go down this path. Very well. We'll go down this path. The Hindu Indian people are not ones to ever walk away from danger or from a threat. China has for so long saw themselves as the sole arbiter of power in Asia, but those days are gone, and they know it. They react to us out of fear. For China knows that despite their military, despite their economy, they have been eclipsed in a decade by the Indian people. They are lashing out for fear. Fear of a power that will eclipse their own. Their stagnation, their corruption, their problems have brought them down, and they would blame us. Let them. We will stand tall above the hostile actions of the Chinese. I'm gonna wait in the VC right next to Putin's, because I really need to talk with the Russians. He's been in there a while. If Russia and China fully agree to cooperate with each other and will not allow China to be expelled, we, including Indonesia, Brazil, and possibly South Korea, we'll see. We're all just gonna leave BRICS, and we're gonna form a new agreement with the United States, which I don't want to have to do because we built a lot on top of the BRICS system, so it would be a shame to get rid of it.
India delegation, you wanted to speak to Russia?
Yes, actually, we can do it here, because I believe Brazil would probably want to be in these talks, correct?
Yeah.
I believe many nations want to be involved in these talks.
No, that's I think you don't understand the circumstance currently. Given President.
Enlighten me then.
Yes, I will. Given the situation with China, they're supporting Pakistan, who is a hostile actor to India. Their actions are not supporting South Korea for quite a while in that situation. Their refusal to allow us entry onto the Security Council and the hostile relations that we have received from China recently. India can no longer participate in the BRICS agreement with China in it. So I know you're probably getting this proposition as the Chinese as listen to both sides kind of thing, and that's fine. But let me make it very clear: every member of BRICS is currently willing to pull out of this agreement if China is not forced out of it.
Every member.
Every member.
Every member.
So the question.
I'll let you know that China did break their agreement with South Korea by no longer guaranteeing their independence.
They have completely pulled out of there, and then they did several things to us.
Did India not annul all agreement with China and also leave the SFO, which is a non?
Yes, we did after they broke one of our agreements. They pulled back the guarantee of India, which was a breaking of the Mutual Defense Pact, which was a cornerstone of the BRICS agreement, as you well know. There is one of two options. We have two courses ahead, Mr. Putin. Option one, Russia sides with every other member of the BRICS agreement and formally ousts China from it, and we will continue to rebuild the BRICS system and build it stronger with many new members who wish to join. Option two, that is not done. If you choose not to help us oust China, in that case, every single member besides you and China will leave BRICS, and it will be formally dissolved as far as we're aware, and a new agreement will be made internationally, which we do not wish to do. We wish to keep BRICS, we wish to cooperate with Russia, but given that unfortunate eventuality where China cannot be ousted, most of our members feels that we cannot remain in this agreement.
If the overwhelming majority, if all of BRICS does
every member
reject China, then there's not Russia would have to respect the agreements of BRICS.
No, you would need to formally vote to oust China. That's what you would need to do.
It has to be unanimous.
Yes. Gentlemen, we are gathered here today for yet another BRICS meeting. However, it is a very different world than the one that we saw before in our last meeting. We are in a very different world than in the one that we were in previously, due to the issues in Ukraine, the dramatic foreign policy changes of China, and their aggression towards many Pacific nations. And as such, India would like to formally bring the first matter to the table. India calls for the expulsion of China from the BRICS agreement.
I'm sure China's the expansionist one when India nullified all the treaties and took away the non-aggression
We've
pact.
already planned for this. If they wish to kick us out, we still have agreements with former BRICS members, so it's...
India calls for a formal vote.
Of course, China's going to vote no.
Brazil.
We vote yes to vote China off.
Indonesia.
Yes.
Russia.
Let's just do this.
Russia will have to vote yes, unfortunately.
And India votes yes. By unanimous degree, China is formally ousted from the BRICS agreement. The British, my first economic tie. Oh god. Oh, shit. Okay.
That is an Avengers level threat.